Okay.
Cool.
All right, can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Excellent. So, hi everyone, welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm Zoe, and I think what we're going to do is, how many of us are there now? Maybe 15?
At the moment, 13 it says. But yeah, we might just need to keep an eye on the participant list.
Okay, so we could just do a quick intro. What's your name, where you come from, where you're teaching, maybe. How does that sound?
That's good.
All right, who wants to go first?
Okay, may I?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm Samina. I'm from India and currently based in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia.
Oh, very nice.
I'm teaching English to medical students here.
Mm-hmm. Okay, very pleased to meet you.
Same here.
All right. Somebody else?
I can go next.
Yeah.
I'm Olivia. I'm from Refugee Ed, so you might have you've received the email invite from me. And yeah, it's lovely to see everyone. Lots of people have signed up, which is great. And I'm based in Athens. Yeah, in lockdown.
I'm Karen. I'm living in Scotland in Dundee, and I'm supporting informal English learning with refugees that have been offered the opportunity to remain in Scotland. I was previously doing some volunteering in Athens, but I'm back home now.
Hi, I'm Helena. I'm from the UK. I'm working for ECHO 100 Plus in Athens. We have 2 non-formal education centres for adult refugees, one in Athens and one on Leros.
Okay. Nice to meet you guys.
Hi, I can go next. My name is Liz. I'm from the US, based in Jordan. It is colder here than it looks, hence my hat. I volunteer teach in Jordan with an organization that supports non-Syrian refugees, so mainly Somali, Sudanese, and Yemeni refugees in Amman.
Great, nice to meet you.
Hi, I'll go next. My name is Alexandra. I'm based in Athens. I work in the livelihoods department, so I coordinate a lot of that livelihoods programs at an NGO in Greece called Solidarity Now, and very glad to meet you all.
Excellent. Livelihoods is something I'm going to be touching on a little bit as well. So this is, I'll need your input.
Super. Yep, great.
Someone else? Who's next?
I can go if you want.
Yeah.
I'm Sarah. I'm based in the UK, and I'm from the UK. And at the moment, I'm volunteering with Gaza Sky Geeks, which is how I heard about this webinar today.
Welcome.
That's about it. Thanks.
Yeah.
Hello, my name is George. I'm from Greece and I work as an English teacher for Goodwill Caravan, where I teach refugees, English and Greek. At the same time, I work in a foreign language school.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
All right. Who's going next? We've got Juliet here. Juliet and Sammy. I think I wrote down your names. Or is that everyone? gentleman who's in Holland. What's your name? Sorry.
Right, now I've got the good connection. My name is Sami.
Uh-huh.
I was teaching English for academic purposes in China, teacher training in Malaysia, and also working with a Montessori school in Colombia. And I'm actually, at the moment, I'm on my way back to the UK. So I'm interested in learning as much as possible about working in the refugee context. And that is why I'm joining this program.
Okay. Welcome.
Hi, I can go next, sorry.
Was the internet connection okay? Hello?
Yeah, it should be. Yeah, we got you.
My name is Juliet. I'm an English teacher and I work with Secondary, an NGO based in Yanina in northern Greece, where we provide informal education for refugee adults and children, but I work with adults.
Okay, excellent. Nice to meet you. I think that might be everyone, right? Did we miss anyone?
I think that might be anyone, unless there's anyone else waiting who's joined late.
I think Anastasia just joined. Anastasia, are you with us? Maybe not yet. Okay, so I'll go now. So I'm, you probably read the bio, but I'll just give you maybe a background and also a way of kind of connecting what I'm doing here with what I'm doing in Myanmar. So right now I'm in Yangon, Myanmar. I've been here for about 9 years now. Somehow got caught here. But I've been working in the development sector for 9 to 10 years. And before that, I was actually teaching English. So I've been teaching English for about 17 years now, which makes me feel quite old. But since 2009, I've been doing teacher training, both in Thailand, where I was actually teaching before this. And then, coming into Myanmar, I continued doing that teacher training, and I was sort of jumping from camp to camp along the border between Thailand and Burma. So working a lot with refugees here, and also working with IDPs in the northern part of this country, and also in Rakhine in the west. Because I'm not sure if you're following the news about Myanmar, but that's, the mobility, the marginalization, I think that's kind of the thing that's been on, that's made Myanmar quite popular, maybe not in a good way. And then also I've worked in Australia. When I was doing my master's, I was there and working with refugees who were settling, and then also in London, trying to, well, the English was basically a way to help them resettle and integrate, which is, I think, something that some of you guys are doing right now. So I've been sort of teaching English alongside designing curriculum and doing trainings for the curriculum that I design for people to kind of do multiplier trainings. So they go into the community and they use my curriculum, and they try and spread the love, so to speak. So life skills has been the most recent curriculum that I've been doing with Save the Children. So that gave me the idea for this webinar, and Olivia was quite open to the idea of life skills integrated in English, and said that it would be quite applicable to your context. So I'm coming at it from the angle that probably is shared by a lot of your students, which is, where they're at right now, there probably isn't a lot of opportunity for them for growth. or for mobility, career mobility. They're probably, just really trying to survive. Am I right? Is that the general sense for your students? Yes, I get a yes. Okay, so I'm also going to come at it from the point of view of content and language integrated learning. Have you guys heard about this before? CLIL, in other words?
Yeah.
So I'll be drawing on your experience as well, just kind of getting you guys into the fray to get you guys, get your ideas as well about how things can maybe be adapted to your classrooms. All right, so these students here, or trainees rather, they're actually in Rakhine state. So these are the aforementioned, populations that were affected by the conflict back in a few years ago. So I've been working with them. All right, so they gave me loads of ideas, which hopefully I can share with you today. Oh dear, what's going on here? All right, so if you are familiar with CLIL, Content and Language Integrated Learning, it's about learning English, but at the same time, learning the content, learning a different subject area. So you're learning just like you would your native language. The reason why I like CLIL is because it's, it's kind of, it affords a sense of culture, a sense of, what we are facing today. We have to be able to function in a multicultural society. It's not about just learning English to speak English, to use English. It's about also being able to survive and to thrive in the 21st century. So the other reason is, yes, it does lead to 21st century skills. So hopefully I'll be showing you how. This I took from the effects of bilingual teaching on learners, but it kind of captures the 4 outcomes, the 4 C's. Okay, so the content of the subject you're teaching. So in this case, life skills. So I would be teaching knowledge, skills, and values that are necessary to survive and thrive in life. And then also it teaches you about culture. So because you're not just using English, you're not just focusing on accuracy and fluency in English, you're focusing on developing those life skills, and at the same time, in a natural setting, also using your English. So you're developing a sort of multicultural intelligence, if you like, and you're also developing awareness, cultural awareness, different ways of being. And at the same time, you've got the cognition, you've got the higher order thinking skills going on. You're learning how to learn. And finally, it's communication. So communication, of course, one of the core skills of the 21st century, whether it be, via technology, as it is now during COVID, but or just pure language skills or presentation skills or whatever it is. So you may have seen this diagram before, the 21st century skills. Let me just. So teachers, schools, educational leaders, they like to talk a lot about, how we need to be keeping our students competitive in the job market. And those are the 3 main components or ways, channels, if you like, of getting there. The critical thinking, the creativity, collaboration, communication as learning skills. Also, you could say that's the cognition and the literacy skills. So that's the 21st century aspect, the information, the media, social media, and technology. And then also your life skills. So life skills are actually already integrated into the 21st century. So I'm kind of coming at it from both angles, from life skills. I'm coming at English teaching from the life skills angle, but also from the 21st century skills angle. But as we know, you know, because we teach refugees and IDPs, with the marginalization that happens, with the human mobility that is happening in the current day, we also know that it's not just about staying competitive. It's about integration. It's about being able to integrate into your new society. And then, of course, COVID and then, you know, climate change has summoned up this additional aspect of sustainability. So learning how to be in a country and living with a sense of sustainability, living and understanding that you also have to care for your environment. You also have to pay attention to the fact that, you know, the earth is changing. So that does, I know, seem like it's quite ambitious to try and achieve in an English language course. But hopefully, you know, with the right amount of scaffolding and the right amount of, you know, sensitivity, maybe tweaking of your lessons, you know, it might actually be a possible thing to go for all of those things all at once. All right. So here's the comparison. I don't know whether you can hear the beeping in the background, apologies for that. So the comparison between EFL, English as a foreign language, and CLIL, Content and Language Integrated Learning. This kind of shows the stark difference. While in EFL, you're just going for proficiency in the second language. With CLIL, you've got four different angles that you're coming from. You're learning a language in order to develop your thinking skills, in order to develop your cultural, multicultural and social skills. And then you're also learning the content of the subject that you're teaching and how to communicate to be successful in life. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through some activities, some example activities. And then for this one, I will probably put you guys into breakout rooms. But first of all, let me explain. Have you guys seen this kind of radio before?
Long time ago.
Yeah, long time ago. That's right. But FM, AM radio. What does FM stand for?
Frequency modulated.
And then AM?
I have absolutely no idea.
You and me both. So anyway, we know that FM and AM, they're two different channels on the radio, and obviously, you know, it might be kind of redundant right now where we live, but there are places in the world where these are still used, particularly in the camps on the border with Thailand and Burma. This is still something that is used. Possibly also used in the areas where your refugees come from? Do you think?
For a lot of the students that I teach, I think if they do use the radio, they access it on their phones actually now. Definitely for me in Jordan, and even I think in a lot of the students' home countries. Again, my students would be from kind of Yemen, Somalia, Sudan.
Yeah, okay. So there is a possibility. I mean, even if it's not the actual radio that they're using, they could be using it via their phones. So you could use the image of the phone with the FM AM radio. So the FM AM conversation, FM, it actually stands for me. AM, it stands for against me. So normally in our heads, correct me if I'm wrong, you do have conversations with yourself. Sometimes you have negative conversations with yourself. So those are against me statements. For example, I'm going to be terrible at this job interview that I'm going for, or something like that. The for me statement will be, okay, I'm going to try doing this job interview, but and I may do well, I may not, but it's good practice for me. So you have two channels, two frequencies in your head. One is a positive frequency, one is a negative frequency. So people won't like me. I will never be good enough. Even if I try hard, I still fail. So these are kind of examples of your against me statements. So what I would like you to do is jump into your groups, and in the table, if you can draw this table out, think of statements that could be against you, examples of against me statements, and then change them into for me statements. All right, so.
And so this is from the perspective of students, not, for example, as us as teachers.
It could be from the student's angle, or it could be from your angle. All right, so I'm going to put you guys can choose a room. I'm going to create 5 rooms. All right, and you can choose a room and then work with the people who are in that room.
How do I join?
Yeah, Zoe, how do people choose the rooms?
So you can, I think you can click on it and click on a room and then click on join in the blue part.
In the blue part.
On the right-hand side. Can you guys see that?
No.
Is there a space where you can see the rooms?
I've got a window where I can see the rooms and the people who have joined, but I can't see a join icon.
Okay. Olivia, do you
Going
know where?
room 2.
I can't actually see the rooms, so.
Rooms. Ah, okay.
Sorry.
Because we've got a few people in room 3 now. A few people in room 4.
I'm going to try to join room 2, but I can't see how.
What, Olivia, do you want to share your screen? What do you see?
Yeah, one sec. Desktop one. Can you see my screen? Wait, now it's gone funny.
Yeah.
Stop share.
Oops.
And I can see a list of 6 participants on the right. Well, we could, the rest of us that are here could be a room. Shall we do that?
Yeah, let's do that because yeah, I mean, yeah, there's there's 6 in here, so we can. You guys.
Okay, cool.
I'm going to broadcast a message to give everyone 3 minutes.
Could you share the screen with the points on us again?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, here we go. Can you see that?
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to go visit the other rooms. I'll be back.
Okay. Cool. So I guess for me, alternative to the first. Oh, it's gone. Well, the first question, which was it like I'm good and I'm not good enough? I guess for me, way of saying that is like I can do it. I'm skilled enough to do it, whatever it is. What do you guys think?
Yeah, or also maybe incorporating that it's okay to not excel at everything.
Yeah.
That you have your own strengths. Something along those lines.
Or maybe also thinking like if it, I didn't write down the points, but who's sharing
The
this?
other one was people won't like me. That was another one.
Sammy, do you know that you're sharing your screen?
No, sorry, I don't know what's going on here. Stop sharing. Okay, stop sharing, sorry.
No worries. I'm not good enough. Okay, yeah. That's a sad thing to have posted in the chat. I'm not good enough. I guess, yeah.
I'm really sorry. I'm writing it out here because my network is really not well, and that's why I just don't want to disturb you all by the noise and everything. Okay, is that okay?
No problem.
The chat.
Yeah. Okay. So using the chat option. All right. Thank you.
Another one of the statements was people won't like me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like the positive way of that would be like people will support me or people will help me.
Or something like I won't be everybody's cup of tea, or everybody has different opinions.
Yeah.
I'm somebody's cup of tea.
Also,
yeah.
Nice.
Yes, there's a tendency sometimes to generalize a negative.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can just sort of bring out what, instead of everybody, well, somebody there will like me.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't found me yet.
Yeah.
Or I haven't found them yet.
The last one was, even if I try hard, I still fail.
I try my best.
Have you heard of Carol Dweck, growth mindset? It's kind of very similar to her ideas, like rephrasing things and rewiring ourselves to think more positively.
Yeah, it's a good exercise, I think, just generally as well.
When I worked in a high school, I used to have kind of like, what did we call it? But something like change my language, and it would have like a lot of these types of phrases, and then you would sort of spin it round, and like Sammy, the kind of thing that you just said, it would sort of turn it on its head.
Mm-hmm.
It's really common, isn't it, for all of us to talk ourselves down?
Yeah, and it's really interesting how, like, with just one word different, one change of word, like the whole thing can have a much more positive spin.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're hooked on failure, you could just perhaps say something like, I failed in this less than I failed in something else. If someone is hooked on that.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'm trying, but I haven't reached the end yet, so I don't know.
I think "yet" is the really key word in this kind of exercise, especially with learners.
Okay. Yes, don't jump to conclusions. I think the other thing is observation. When somebody thinks nobody likes me, well, actually look at how people or somebody is responding to me, and actually looking carefully and watching carefully and listening carefully to how what somebody else is saying. And it might not be directed to me at all. And yes, there's a tendency to look at somebody's face and think, oh my God, that person doesn't like me. Especially in this kind of situation. This actually is my very first experience of a breakout room, and it's curiously tense. It's very strange. I feel there are three.
I think you have.
I've got three people, and is George part of our meeting? I see George.
Excuse me, yes?
All right, because I just see three faces, well, two faces, not including mine, looking at me intensely, wondering, oh my God, what are they thinking? Is there something wrong with me? Is my hair? It's quite intense.
I think we miss out on so much when we meet like this rather than meeting in person. Obviously, it's a good compromise for these kinds of situations, and it's great that we have this technology, but we miss out on so many little cues that normally we would pick up on, and it would help us feel much more.
Yeah. Also, like, none of us are used to seeing other people at the moment. So everyone's like, got to look at different faces for once. Maybe that's why, Sammy. I think everyone's also struggling with the technology a bit, hence the kind of concentrating stares.
Hi guys.
Hi.
Hi.
How did you get on?
Yeah, we had a good chat.
Just the chat? Are you feeling more positive?
Yeah.
Okay, so we had some interesting conversations about for healthcare. If you're not getting the healthcare, or not expecting to be able to get healthcare, the for me statement is, I can find the people who can help me, or I can find a translator who will be able to help me get to a healthcare provider, or something like that. Did anyone else have any good examples?
Oh, so you're putting it into context.
You can put it into context, or you can just think of general statements. Yeah.
Right.
So we were working on the ones the examples that you gave, and sort of tried to come up with for me statements based on those ones. So for people won't like me, I came up with, I won't be everybody's cup of tea. But then Sammy made it much more positive and said, I will be someone's cup of tea.
Yeah, I will always be someone's cup of tea. Yeah, exactly.
But I think it's important that there's an acknowledgement that you don't have to, everybody doesn't have to like you. I think that's important.
Yes.
Yeah.
Having in there somewhere, but I like Sammy's version better.
Yeah. Being realistic
Exactly.
really, at the end of the day. Yeah. Okay. Is everyone back? Everyone is back. All right. So I have taken the liberty of giving you some examples here, some more.
Whoa.
So people won't like me, but I still have friends. I will never be good enough. I can still make it if I try. So translating it into something that is much more positive. Even if I try hard, I still fail. I will just keep trying. So this is a favorite here. I can't find true love. They're obsessed with love here. So I can't find true love. One day I will find true love. So this is one of their examples too. And there's something related to the health as well. I have my health. I wasn't born beautiful, but I have my health. So these are some examples of the statements that my trainees have come up with before. All right. So this is just something that maybe you guys could rustle up by yourselves. On the this is the x-axis, isn't it? So on the x-axis is your distress level. On the y-axis is your age. So over the years, what are the events that have happened in your life? So for example, I started school. My father lost his job. My baby sister was born. I moved to a new house. There was an earthquake. And then something else happened. So this is the okay line. If something challenging happened, the line or the event goes underneath the okay line. If it's an event that happens that is a positive event, a happy event, then you can put it above the okay line. And then eventually, as you're following this trend, as you're making this graph for yourself, for your own life, you get this kind of squiggle. So can you guys have a go? Make a little graph with your x-axis and your y-axis. The x-axis for the well-being, and then the y-axis for your age. You don't have to share it, but it's just as an experiment. What do you come up with? Do you come up with a kind of ECG like this one? I'll give you a couple of minutes to do so.
Oh.
Because I know your memory is that sharp.
No, but which events do I select? Yes.
Yeah. Yes, it's probably easier for a younger person, I suppose.
I think so.
You could just do a snapshot of the last 5 years.
Yeah, sure.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would work too. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't have to be your whole life. I can't
even remember what I felt like when I was like 3 years old.
Same. Okay, let's do that. Let's do a snapshot of the past 5 years. It's a bit hazy otherwise. Okay. How are you guys doing? Have you come up with a squiggle?
Yeah.
So you've got the okay line, and then there's positive events, and then there's negative events. You can feel free to show as well. I mean, there's nothing, I mean, if it's not visible, too visible. Oh, that's great. Yeah, lots of squiggles.
I can't see anything. I can see Samina Musharraf and the Lifelines PPT, but I seem to have lost everybody else. Oh dear, I feel very alone.
Oh, we can still hear you.
You can, well, then that's a lifeline. Okay.
And we can still see you, actually.
You can?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's eerie and weird. Okay. I can see nobody. That's fine, but I won't be able to see any of the squiggles.
Okay.
But yeah, I can hear your descriptions. That's fine.
I think generally everyone found the same thing, that we've got some positive things above the okay line, and we've also got some events that go below the okay line where we're feeling a bit more distressed.
Yeah.
So your students will probably find the same. And the next question after this is about the two snails. Okay, it sounds completely random and connected, but what do you think are the differences between these two snails?
It looks like one is kind of hiding in its shell and the other one is outside its shell.
That's right. Yeah. So one is hiding, one is a little bit tentative, the other one is looking kind of brave, right? Others?
I can see levels of confidence, self-esteem.
In the left-hand one?
Well, yes, I brought across the two of them. There seems to be elements of a lot of or a lack of confidence, a lot of self-esteem, lack of self-esteem. But the one that's inside the shell, at least his or her eyes are out there.
So still aware, still feeling.
Yes. But not just not ready yet to spread out.
Yeah, so possibly anxious, but kind of aware of what's going on, maybe wanting to know what's going on. Samina says different perspectives. So you mean by different perspectives, the happy looking snail versus the scared looking snail? Is that what you mean? Okay, yeah. So one has a different perspective to life, about life, and then the other one has a different another perspective about life. So when we relate back to our lifeline, at which point would you be the first snail?
Well, I think when there are more events above the OK line, more positive life events.
So possibly the more positive, yeah. How about the second snail? When would you be the second snail?
The points under the OK line.
So maybe possibly under the OK line. But actually, what I then do with my students is kind of remind them, actually, we have moved on. So after each of these events, when something challenging happens in life, when something really traumatic happens, you are then able to go back up again. So actually, you become the first snail each and every time you use coping skills, and you defeat that challenge. Each and every time you pass those challenges, those hurdles in life, that's when you become the first snail. And so they can sort of have this kind of...
Yes.
Sorry, say again, Sammy.
No, it's almost as though that it's not really referring to above or below the okay line. It's more relating to the position that you find yourself in at any moment, and recognizing and being aware of the change that's happening to you.
And there you have it. That's the life skill that we want to be building in our students. The self-awareness of how they are at certain points in time, whether it be over the course of events or even in a single day or a single hour. Just that awareness of themselves and their feelings and their emotions.
Yes, exactly.
And Alexandra says, I thought it might be the same snail, just in different contexts. So yes, again, in different contexts as well. Different times of the day, different events, different contexts, where maybe even with different people. Something like that. So we have found our first life skill. So if we look at the activity, so the activity was, what was the first activity? Do you remember?
Those three statements.
Yeah. FM, AM.
That's right, the AM, FM conversations. So with the AM, FM conversations, what do you think was the English language focus there?
Positive adjectives.
Making statements, paraphrasing, there you go, yeah, nice. Positive and negative statements, yeah, absolutely. Okay, and then the life skills focus, what do you think that was? For the AM/FM.
Having
not to
growth
get
mindset. Oh, sorry, Sammy.
Yeah, growth mindset, and then Sammy.
Not to get fixed in a kind of quicksand. I'm being too poetic here. I mean, not getting fixed in a fixed view of yourself. About being able to see yourself in a different way.
Yeah.
At certainly at a moment of crisis, but perhaps at any moment. I don't know. I don't know if I'm off the mark here.
No, definitely not. Actually, what you're summing up is positive self-concept. So positive self-concept is something that maybe our students wrestle with. It's particularly if there are a lot of things that are not in their control. So it would be difficult to have your self-confidence when you're in that kind of situation. So yes, it is positive self-concept. And I think the other thing you were getting at was resilience.
Yeah.
Being able to get through.
Yes. Especially if what many of these people might be experiencing as a day-to-day ongoing experience, which to some of us in another situation might just happen every now and again, like on that well-being chart. Perhaps the kinds of crises and traumas that they're facing becomes almost continuous, and then it can be very difficult to find a positive view for yourself out to work through it.
That's it. So, and also it can be kind of confronting if you do try and use this type of activity with them. I'm not sure if you went to the webinar about the trauma affected. This activity comes with you know, a little a warning. So you might have to be quite sensitive in the way that you use the lifelines if there are traumatic events that are in their lives, and they may not want to share. So just kind of going into the classroom with your eyes open with that one. It's a
Exactly.
good one for talking about resilience and positive self-concept, and also maybe cushioning it, making it less confronting by making it an English language focus. So Alexandra, for example, said you could use past tenses, and then yeah, the positive, negative statements as well. Just kind of like maybe providing a cushion where they're just focusing on the language. They're not focusing so much on the events themselves.
Yes, or even a kind of ersatz object, because sometimes in counseling or therapy sessions we use things like dolls or mannequins or something on which to focus the thought or the feeling.
Yeah, so you're focusing the thought or the feeling onto actual, you know, functional things like English language or 21st century skills. So what do you think the 21st century skills could be that are coming out of this? The AM/FM statements and the lifelines.
When you say 21st century skills, what kind of things do you mean?
Exactly. Were you paying attention at the beginning of the webinar? No, I'm just kidding. So,
oh, sneaky teacher.
21st century skills, communication.
Right.
Communication is one of them. Leadership is another one. Critical thinking was another one. Yeah.
Yeah, I did write this down actually. I got it, thanks.
Well, something that's very interesting that you mentioned just once, which was creativity, and that's something I wanted to bring up at some point. Encouraging people's creativity where they think maybe they have none as a coping strategy.
Yeah. Okay. Let hold that thought, because we're getting there. We're getting to creativity. All right. Let me move on. So, life skills. Life skills themselves are actually 21st century skills. So under that would be communication or leadership. So they're able to be, they've got resilience, they've got positive self-concept. So through those characteristics or qualities, they will, you know, be able to realize a little bit of the leadership quality as well. And then maybe with the AM/FM radio, I will be able to, so the future with will. Modals of possibility, I can do this if I try, for example. And then the past simple tense for the lifeline, this is what happened to me in the past. All right.
Am I able to ask a quick question? So are you, I don't understand the difference between the 21st century 21st century skills and just life skills in general. Are they two separate categories, or is it almost as though life skills is a subcategory, or the other way?
I would say life skills is kind of a subcategory, but I like to view it as a subject on its own, like a complete subject on its own, because for example, in Myanmar, students, you know, their education system has been underinvested for so long, and it's all kind of rote learning. So they just tend to be able to re-spurt things that they've been kind of fed, but they don't really know how to function in life. They don't really know how to think critically, or they're not taught that anyway in school. And so life skills is kind of like one of the new subjects that is being brought into the new curriculum. But yeah, life skills generally you know, being able to manage your emotions, being able to communicate effectively, you know, all of those things also become 21st century skills, because 21st century skills are what you need to be able to cope in the current era, you know, where with globalization, with climate change, with, you know, the technology that we have at our hands, at our fingertips now. So Lifelines is kind of like the basics, the morals, the ethics, but then, sorry, not Lifelines, life skills is kind of like the basic foundations, you know, for them to be able to eventually, well, both function in society, in the economy, but also as a citizen, as an active citizen, eventually.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Okay, so emoticons. So talking about 21st century skills, you guys may use emojis and emoticons quite often in your everyday life. So what do you think, maybe just quickly in your notebooks, what kind of smiley face is a happy one? And what does an angry face look like? What does a sad face look like? What does a frustrated face? So quickly draw those faces on your notebooks. And I'll give you maybe a couple of minutes.
Oh,
sorry.
Oh, we're working on this. This is a working.
Someone's really good at the annotation.
Sorry, I couldn't help.
No, go for it.
That's the only emote. I mean, I don't have a notebook with me right now. Sorry.
Oh, no, keep going. Keep going. You're helping other people out too. Try one of the ones at the bottom, because people probably won't get down there in 2 minutes.
Oh, I can't get can't put anything on here.
Sorry, I don't know how to get into that to do whatever everybody else is doing. Can somebody give me a quick tip?
Yes, there's usually something drops down from the top, and then there's a little button called annotate.
Oh, okay, I've got
annotate,
it.
and then you can, but mine seems to have run away. So I'm going to enjoy just watching. And,
Are we supposed to draw just happy and sad, or
any of those emotions that you see?
Okay.
Yeah. Oops.
I like the question marks. Could use exclamation mark as well, but I can't get mine on. I'm viewing Zoe's screen. How can I view Gandhi? Oh,
all right, wow. We got some wonderful artists here. All right, I'm gonna have to push you guys along. Sorry, but these are great. These are fantastic. All right, I'm moving to the next slide. Sorry to spoil it. Oh, there we go. Lots of squiggly stuff on the. So
if you
did
press clear, it should get rid of it.
Ah, yes, okay.
Yeah, there's a kind of delete button somewhere.
Got it. All right.
Obnoxious. Wow.
Did you guys get these well, expressions similar to these emoticons? Probably.
Sleepy is a bit strange.
I think ours were better, Zoe, because these ones are a bit confusing.
Right. Okay, I'm going to have to employ you guys as the illustrators then for the next curriculum. Okay, so reflection. Was it difficult to imagine those faces as you were drawing them?
Some were.
For a few, yes, Samina. So some were kind of difficult to imagine and kind of difficult to kind of visualize or draw. And what kinds of emotions can sometimes be understood or misunderstood as other emotions?
Angry.
Alexandra says, the more complex the emotion, maybe the more difficult to draw.
Yeah,
Anger or
yes.
frustration, impatience, fear, Sarah says. So yeah, maybe you know, you might be seen as being angry, but you could just be frustrated or impatient. Anger is generally the yes, kind of misunderstood. So what can happen if we misread someone's emotions? Oh yes, shyness too.
Yes, yeah.
What can happen if we misread someone's emotions?
I think there's a risk of assuming that if someone, for example, is expressing an angry emotion, that they are an angry person or a bad person, without kind of taking a step back and trying to understand, okay, why is this person feeling angry? Like what about their life situation right now is making them feel angry, and what can I do to help them through their anger?
So there we go. There's another life skill that we've just teased out, which is empathy. Really understanding what's going on underneath the emotion, not just reading what we think is somebody's emotion, but kind of reading behind that.
Yes, and not reacting to the facial expression. I mean, not reacting in a reactive way.
Yeah, like not always taking things personally.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So being emotionally literate in that way, kind of not always taking things personally, not Sammy, you said that, and not always kind of thinking it is going to make your conversation difficult, as Simina says. It's kind of trying to read underneath, between the lines. Why is that person showing that face? What could be the possibilities? So we got empathy, we got emotional literacy. So if it's not clear what other people are feeling, how can we make sure that we do not misunderstand each other? By empathizing, by being aware of those things. I think this is kind of the things that you've talked about already. Why do you think it is important to identify and express emotions yourself, as well as understanding other people's feelings? So yeah, we kind of touched on that too. You need to be emotionally literate so that your conversations aren't difficult, so that you can continue communicating without any, much of a breakdown. So through this activity, you're kind of like bringing their awareness. You've got their self-awareness, as well as kind of building their awareness of maybe possibly different cultures. Because if they're coming into a new culture, if they're trying to integrate, there may be different expressions that are, that people demonstrate. that mean different things. So this can also lead to a quite an interesting discussion about the cultural differences as well. Oh, this face means happiness for you guys, you know, that kind of conversation. So if we call that activity emotion emoticons, what do you think is the English language focus?
Vocabulary.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I guess emotion, vocabulary.
Yep. Adjective.
Yeah, adjectives.
Yep. Everyone's going for adjectives. Yep. So what about the life skills? What did we talk about just now? George. George is really
expressing our emotions.
Yeah, expressing our emotions. Being able to express them, being literate, understanding what emotions are, what types there are. Sammy says empathy. Samina says empathy and building better relationships. Yeah, maintaining. So life skills is also about maintaining, being able to build and maintain your networks and relationships. And also self-control, yeah. Resisting your emotions. So if you see an angry face, you resist the urge to dislike that person and try and understand them.
Exactly, exactly. Yes, yes, yes.
So then 21st century skills, what do you think that is what is the result there? What kind of 21st century skills do you get? Intercultural communication, yes.
Multiculturalism.
Yeah, because you might have different expressions by culture. Yeah. Networking, yeah. Sarah says. So maintaining those human relationships. So if we, communication, I've got life skills again, but yes, multiculturalism, diversity, love that, yeah. So understanding diversity too. All right. Okay, I'm going to quickly take you through the next few activities so that we have some time for Q&A. Can you match these to throw out? Which one is it? Is it A? Is it B? Is it C? D, E, or F to throw out?
Give up looking after someone.
Sarah says E, yes, to throw out. Olivia says E, thank you. Yeah, so you're throwing out something, you're throwing out your garbage, for example. Pangolin, what is a pangolin? A, yes, thank you, Alexander. To drift. What is to drift? To float, yeah, without direction, so this one. Isolated. F, yeah, thank you, Olivia. So isolated is far away from other places. To abandon.
Okay. Oh, I didn't see F. Yeah, yeah, F definitely. Yeah.
Sorry, it's hiding. Yeah. To abandon.
Oh, that's B.
B, to give up looking after someone or something. Yeah. And to damage. Yeah, obviously that was the last one. All right, to break or to cause physical harm to someone or something. All right, can you write down 7 things? We're going to go on a holiday. It's going to be eventful. So write down 7 items that you might want to bring with you. Say, for example, your pets, your favorite people, things that are important to you. What should I give you? Should I give you 10 seconds? 10 seconds to write it down. Okay, have you got 7 things?
7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yes, we do.
Wonderful. All right, so we're going to go on our journey. So you have your own car, and we're going on a car trip, a road trip. As you set off, the sky is really clear and the sea is really beautiful. After 2 or 3 days, you become sick and you feel worse and worse. You realize that you need to take a rest, so you stop when you see a small village. You look for someone who can treat you for your illness, and eventually you find somebody. But he says you have to give away one of your items as payment. So put a line through one of the items that you want to give as payment. Okay, so now you feel better and you go back to your car. Before you reach your car, you see a man pulling a pangolin. It's terrible for you to see because you know they're close to extinction. So you walk over to them and you ask the man what happened. He says he bought the pangolin in the village. And you think, oh, this is terrible. I want to free him. So you need to give it away one of your items as payment for the pangolin. So cross out that item in your list. Okay. You continue your journey. You are now halfway to your destination. Suddenly the sky becomes dark and the wind starts to get stronger. A storm is coming. So, but somehow you found yourself on a muddy track. A few minutes later, the rain is thundering down and you realize that your car is too heavy. It's kind of swaying from one side to the other. You need to have a lighter car to be able to get out of the muddy hole that you're in. So you need to throw out one of your items. So put a line through another item that you want to discard. All right. So you try to keep going, and the storm just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. You still need to be even lighter, your car. So throw out another one of your items. And suddenly, everything becomes calm again. The sky becomes blue. The storm clouds drift away and you can continue your journey. You are closer and closer to your destination. And suddenly you see an old man sitting on a tiny isolated rock. You're wondering why the old man is there. So you approach the old man and you ask him, what's going on? Why are you here? And he says that he comes from a very poor village, and his son and daughter-in-law were so poor that they couldn't feed him anymore. So they asked him to leave because they could barely find anything to eat. And he was abandoned there. So you feel sorry for this old man and you want to give him something of yours. So give him one of your items and cross out. And then you continue on your journey. But now it looks like you've lost your way. After a while, you come across a man who says he will show you the way, but for a price. So that means you need to give away another one of your items. Finally, you reach your destination. Okay, so that's the end of the journey. How did you go about deciding which of your items you would discard or throw out? Or give away?
I got rid of the things that were least important to me first.
Giving away the least important things, yeah, and keeping the most important things. So things I could most likely do without, yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
I did this too, but when we talked about this old man, I thought that if I give him my best friends, they will help him. So
Okay.
I gave them away.
Yeah, so it depends on the situation as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you wanted to give something, you know, be more helpful for the old man, then you might give something more valuable.
It got harder when it got down to people.
Yeah.
I felt bad giving people away.
What about the pangolin though? You know, was it difficult to give away people? I suppose, yeah.
I had too many people on my list.
So how did you do it? How did you prioritize? Very difficult, right? So that, I think you guys got through it. You prioritized the different items that you had, and then decided based on the context, based on the situation, what you would give away. And so there we have our next life skill. I'm gonna whiz through this. So if you notice, the story was mostly present simple, but it was for narrative purposes. So it could be used as a kind of listening exercise, where after you do after you pre-teach the vocab, and then your higher order thinking skills. These are both life skills, and they're also 21st century skills. Being able to use critical thinking, judge, evaluate the situation, and make a decision based on that. So these are the kinds of aims that you might have with this kind of activity. Did you guys think of anything else that could be an outcome of that activity?
Assessing the context.
Assessing your context.
But I don't know how that would.
Karen says, I would find that a difficult activity to do with refugees. Is that because of the trauma?
Yes, definitely. I think it would make people think back to maybe choices they've made in the past.
Yeah. So actually the original story was called The Journey. And it was also set on a boat. So they had to throw things out into the sea. But then I thought that might be too reminiscent of them crossing over on the boat. And that would also relive some trauma. So how could we actually adapt this story so that they're choosing items and then throwing them out, choosing items that are special to them? How can we adapt the story that is less traumatic?
Maybe don't include people.
Don't include people.
That might be.
So just things.
Like physical, like practical objects.
Yeah. Okay. So practical objects, and then also, would you make it a holiday? Would you make it a journey?
You could even have something gentler, like you go to the shops and you buy 7 things, and on the way home, you have to give them away.
Ah, there you go, something like that.
So it's a bit less, there isn't the idea of a journey.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
And if it's just food items, it's less emotionally charged. It's like, but you're still thinking, do I need the biscuits or do I need the water?
Yeah, exactly. So that is actually, that kind of story is also good for teaching about impulse. So when we're talking about emotional literacy and controlling your impulses, another activity that I wanted to include, but obviously didn't have time, was you show pictures of a marketplace, and then you get them to write down things that they want to buy at the market today. And then you get them to actually go to the market, or you show more pictures of the marketplace. And then while they're there, they can add to their list if they want to. So at the time they're in the marketplace and they're you can kind of reflect in a way that shows that they are buying things on impulse. And then you can kind of make the connection between impulse purchases and doing other things on impulse, and being able to control that, and why we would want to control that impulse. What's the reason why we would have to control our impulses? So yeah, that kind of context, the shopping context, is really useful in that way. It's not traumatic, doesn't have any, is not reminiscent of anything traumatic, and it also has different kind of possibilities for activities too. Alexandra says, I was thinking the same as Sarah, market, shops, short trip, a visit to a friend, maybe, yeah. So it could be adapted that way. All right. I'm just going to talk you through these things because I don't think we have much time left, right, Olivia? How much time is there now?
Yeah, I was just going to send you a message. Yeah, I think we should try and wrap up soon, but maybe just have a bit of time for Q&A if people want to ask any questions. But I mean, do finish what you wanted to say.
All right. Well, there are three more activities, so I think I'm just going to have to talk you through it. So this is a more of a sustainability angle. This activity. So you show the pictures to your students, and then you try and get an emotional reaction from that. So you don't say anything, you just show the picture. What do you see in this picture? And they say plastic bottles, junk. And then you ask them, would you like to live in a place like this? Would you like to swim in that river? No, the answer is. Show them another picture. What do you see? Would you like to live in a house like that? And they say no. And then you ask, what's the problem here? Why wouldn't you want to live there? And they talk about rubbish. So this is sort of getting them an emotional reaction to the environment, plastic waste. So you get them to kind of think about or brainstorm, how can we clean up the environments where we live? Because this is a particular, problem here with plastic waste, using plastic bags. It's just everywhere. So this is something that we kind of have to touch on a lot here. So you get them to brainstorm, and then with the ideas that they come up with, you get them to evaluate them. So in their particular context, is it possible to wash and recycle and reuse things like bottles and containers? Yes or no? So they circle one or the other. And then what's the reason for that? Is it possible to use only reusable containers like tiffins? Tiffins are kind of tin food holders, portable food carriers. Reusable cups or reusable bottles? Yes or no? And then they have to think of the reason why that would be possible in their context. Because some of these things might not be possible given their situation and given how much power they have in their communities. But certain things like reusing things, doing volunteer trash pickup days, maybe they would be possible. So they have to evaluate based on their own personal situations. Okay. So I call that plastic world, that activity. So with the English language, maybe it talks about, maybe you can kind of go more into imperatives. And then for life skills and 21st century skills, getting them to analyze the situation, why is there so much plastic? Where is it coming from? How do we build their awareness? How do we work with the community? And then also it's about caring. So getting them, to emotionally respond to the situation. Do they like, would they like to live in a house like that? No. So let's do something about it. So kind of the caring aspect about themselves and about other people and about their environment. All right. This is the next activity. So here's my friend. He's a kitty wiper. So do you ever need help with your cleaning? Try the kitty wipers. Sorry, Samina says, in a very sensitive way, this activity could be related to conditions in camps. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I don't know what happened there.
Okay. All right. So you mean the rubbish, right? The plastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, even if it's just an awareness raising activity, if there are still possibilities for them to be able to control that, right? The amount of plastic in their camps.
Well, again, I don't know what conditions are exactly like on camps, but I'm just wondering, they could see an activity like that as being critical or positive. I don't know. Yeah,
it's the way that you maybe the way that you scaffold it. So making sure that they have ownership of it, you know, kind of they're the ones identifying the problem. So you start with them. You're not the one saying, okay, this is the problem.
No, sure.
You're kind of connecting to their background knowledge just by showing the picture, but they're the ones that bring up the spidergram. They're the ones that have the ideas in the spidergram of you know, what could be the issues first of all, and then also what could be the solutions. So this one is actually related to the livelihoods, as I was saying earlier. I think it was who was working? Alexandra. Alexandra is working in livelihoods, if she's still here. So this one is about entrepreneurial thinking. So you show them these slides. Do you ever need help with your cleaning? Try the kitty wipers. Do you ever get sick and need a constant supply of tissues? Try the head with toilet roll holder. Do you ever eat breakfast on the run? Try the butter stick on your toast in the morning. Do you ever fall asleep on a stranger's shoulder on the way to work? Try the sucker helmet to save you the embarrassment. So you show them these funky inventions, and it comes from Shindogu. Have you guys heard of this before? Shindogu is a Japanese useless invention website. So you get them to create a company name, you get them to create a product that they can actually like make it themselves if you have the time. And then they have to think about how much they will charge for the product. So this is where you can kind of get them thinking about market research. You know, you can't just charge what you like. You have to ask what other people are charging. You know, what's the market? Or, you know, you have to think about how usable it is. You can start having those conversations with them. And then they have to think of a sales blurb for their promotion. So do you ever need help with your cleaning? Try the kitty wipers. And that, you know, the product can actually be a prototype as well. They can create something if you have the time. And then you give them, say, an hour. And then after an hour, you start the marketplace. It's called the Shindogu marketplace. And they try and buy and sell things to each other. So we're moving into the kind of entrepreneurial 21st century creative thinking. So Sammy, this is what I was talking about earlier with creative thinking. So getting them to actually create things, use their language to create sales pitches, ask questions, you know, like really understand what the needs of people are. And they can really contextualize it based on where they are as well, what people need in their particular context. And then also technology. How would they use technology? How would they use social media to be able to sell their product. Okay, and this is kind of a more involved version. In the context here, there's very little economic investment. So it's very unlikely that you'll get a job in certain places because there's nowhere to apply for a job. So the emphasis for organizations, NGOs here is often, income generation projects. So this is kind of something that you can do with your students as well, to think about the product, how much they would charge for it, where they would sell it, and how they would promote it, the 4 Ps. So you can give them a task sheet like this. And the most common business you can have here is growing and selling vegetables. So you can actually get them into a simulation exercise where they're actually deciding how they will grow, what they will grow, where they would sell their fruit or veg. And then also, like what I said about the market research, what prices are other vegetable growers charging as well. So they can, you can have a little trip over to the market as well. And then use the language, the sales pitch language, to kind of advertise their product. And decide where. Maybe they can have in their backyard, the garden, like a little kitchen garden. Alexandra says, the marketing mix, lovely idea. Thank you, Alexandra. So you can then mix it up a bit with some 21st century skills. So presentation skills. They evaluate another group. So you give them an hour, they decide on their 4 Ps, and then how they want to present their product or their ideas. And then you give them the rubric for their presentation so that they can then evaluate each other. And also a self-reflection or a self-evaluation. They evaluate themselves using the rubric that you've provided. So they're getting both the kind of entrepreneurial thinking, trying to sort of be more resilient, be more self-reliant. Even if there aren't any job opportunities around, you can still kind of learn to be innovative, still learn to kind of stand on your own 2 feet, use the resources that are around you. So that's what the idea is behind these activities. And also it gives you kind of extra English and extra 21st century skills with your creative thinking, your use of technology. So there we go. I think that was it. Olivia will be breathing a sigh of relief. These I wanted to share. Some people actually have left already, and they asked if I could share the PowerPoint. I'm happy to. I was thinking about maybe we could set up an email channel and to share other materials that you guys have also used before. This part is about habits of the mind, which is kind of gives you an idea of the life skills, the other life skills that you can be working on. And the final slide is about CLIL generally, how to integrate language. Make sure there's vocabulary, make sure there's a grammar structure that you're focusing on. Make sure that they're, creatively using an audio text or a visual text or a reading text. And then in some way, a simulation as well, like the 4 Ps or the Shindogu marketplace. So I'm sorry I whizzed through that. I just wanted to give you some time for questions. Where are we at with time now, Olivia?
I mean, we're a bit over, but we can do some questions. And then, yeah, I think all of the exercises were like really, really helpful. So I didn't want to cut you off. So we can definitely share some of it afterwards as well. But if we can keep the questions quite quick, if anyone has any questions now, that would be good.
Yeah. Questions or suggestions even?
I'm also going to just pop in the chat while people think of their questions. If people need to leave, I'm just going to pop a link for a little evaluation form that we do after our webinar. So before you leave, please click on the link and then you can fill it in afterwards. That's fine. Yeah, just add that. Anyway, go ahead with questions.
Does anyone have questions or comments?
Can I ask Zoe, did you say that you've actually devised a program, and is that program shareable?
Yeah, well, not by my contract.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a life skills curriculum, specifically for adolescents and youth here in 3 different regions, in 3 conflict areas. And yeah, some of these activities are from there, and but actually with some of the activities I put a source. You might be able to find them online. Save the Children has its own kind of resource center as well, so you can probably look there for resource kits for youth as well. Also, if we do set up an email after this, I do have a couple of resources as well that I can share on youth participation, that kind of thing. And they touch on life skills. And then there's this one, this Habits of the Mind, that actually comes from a resource here called Young Adult Success. So I can share the website for that too.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
So first of all, thank you for I really like the activities, and I hope I'll try them. And I wanted to ask something, because you mentioned life skills, 21st century skills. One challenge that I've had as a teacher was developing study skills. Like, yet in some contexts, guiding students or teaching them, helping them how to understand tasks, how to use examples. And well, there, 2 questions. Have you had this challenge when working with refugee students? And do you have any advice on that?
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely had this challenge because, with rote learning, rote memorization, which is common in these parts, they just really learn how to parrot information, how to regurgitate. And there's nothing to do with study skills. There's nothing to do with sort of learning how to learn. So the answer that I normally have for that is getting them into the routine of reflection. So kind of, do you know what I mean by metacognitive strategies? So it's basically thinking about how you think. So after each activity, I'm pretty much of a slave driver actually with the reflection. I get them always to reflect on what just happened in the activity and kind of make a note that way. I provide them with a kind of like, say, a table and kind of work in terms of competencies as well, so that they are always kind of measuring themselves in that way and measuring their own kind of performance. Study skills, and I'm not sure if you'll agree with me, it's a lot of kind of learner autonomy, and this is something that they have not, it's common here that students do not have that. They latch onto the teacher, and they kind of think that the teacher is the source of all knowledge, all, everything basically, and they're sort of over dependent. And so to kind of wean them off, you start off your course, your program, with competencies, like maybe a template that they can keep going back to after every lesson, like a reflective learning journal, but a structured one, where they kind of think, you have the questions like, I can, for example, today, I can reflect back on my life and understand that I have been resilient and have used coping skills in order to keep going and maintain my positive self-concept. Tick, yes, no, need to work on it, something like that. So something really easy like that, like a template that you provide, where they can just keep monitoring themselves. That's kind of one big study skill that I tend to get them doing a lot. The learner autonomy piece. Were you thinking of other types of study skills as well?
Well, I was thinking of these two, as in becoming more autonomous. I like the idea with can-do statements and the asking them what's their takeaway, or yeah, asking one question related to the topic, but I think in a way what I was thinking of was actually understanding tasks when there's a variety of tasks of which engage lower level, higher level thinking skills. So depending, like matching, guessing, paraphrasing. I mean, so in that area, but
yeah. Another thing I used to do.
But it's all connected, so yeah.
Yeah, it is all connected, but actually you can integrate it. So another thing I used to do is on the left side of the board. Okay, on the right side of the board you have, you know, the date, the maybe the groups that you have for the day, and then any other housekeeping. But on the left side of the board, maybe you can write, okay, maybe 3 or 4 competencies and include the activities, like maybe the skill that you want them to achieve for today. So like paraphrasing, for example. I can paraphrase to you know, communicate an idea in my own words, for example. Yes, yes I can, or I need improvement, something like that. So you can actually create the table and put it on the whiteboard, and that is their goal for the day, so, or for the lesson. So you don't actually have to have it on a piece of paper. You can actually have it on the board, and then you go through your activities. And then at the end of the lesson, you go through with them, okay, can you do this? And if they say yes, tick. And if they say, I think I still need improvement, then you tick that one. So you can kind of do the reflection together, if you see what I mean. And then also make them aware of what skills they're actually working on and learning.
Yeah, good. Thank you. Thank you. I'll give it a try. I only teach online and in general one-to-one classes, but it's helpful. So we could have a shared document, or that board could be virtual. So it's a good idea. Thank you.
Yeah, and if you're using a learning management system, maybe that could be something that is, you know, you keep putting up after every lesson.
Yeah.
You post the reflection template where they can kind of say, okay, yes, I can do that, tick. No, I think I need to work on that, tick.
Thank you.
Sure.
I'll give it a try.
All right, nice. Questions from anyone else?
No, I just want to say, Zoe, thank you very much for offering us such a wonderful variety of activities.
I hope it's useful.
Very useful. And one important thing is it just provokes me to think in different ways about certain things, which I always find is if a fellow colleague is able to do that to me, then I think, hey, yes, that's nice.
Yeah,
that's nice.
Yeah. Definitely, like moving
thank
away from English language teaching for a while to do things like life skills and civic education has always kind of helped me come back to English language teaching with a new approach, kind of thinking of it from a different angle. So I'm happy to share that.
Yes, and almost making the language not invisible, but not in the forefront. So
Yeah.
the language is serving a purpose
Exactly.
that's outside the language. I think that's very important. Yes, yes.
Exactly, because we need more than that these days. And especially our students, they need much more than that these days. They need, you know, they need to survive on language, but other things as well.
Exactly, yeah.
Mm. All right, so no more questions? Comments?
Thank you so much, though. That was really, yeah, I second what Salmi was saying. I think it's just really interesting to hear like another perspective that's not just about language and like such a basic point, but something that's really good to look into more. So yeah, thank you.
Sure. I'm
And yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, I think English language teaching was what I started off with. It's always been my first love, and I moved away and then came. You know, I can keep kind of returning back to it with the things that I learn in development, and it is, you know, there are so many intersections. It's really important to remember that.
I think one of the things behind it is understanding the psychology of the mind and the interactive psychology that's going on between the people that are in your learning zone. And that's often very difficult because the teacher's having to juggle with a lot of different, I mean, I don't know how many children you have or teenagers you have in your classes, but it's a tough call on a teacher to be able to keep all individual psychologies in your mind so you know how to pitch your response to different individuals. And that is difficult, but it's something well worth pursuing, yeah.
And at the same time, working with trauma as well, working with all the traumatic events that our students have been through.
Exactly, and that needs one heck of a memory in the teacher.
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge, but it's, you know, necessary.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. So thank you for sharing as well. Thank you for all your ideas. And hopefully we can, we can set up an email after this where we can do a bit more sharing.
Yes, please.
Yeah, sure.
Quite a lot of people have been asking for the recording already, like people who couldn't make this session. So we'll definitely be sharing some of the materials and stuff with some people that couldn't attend, if that's okay.
Excellent. Yeah, and with a different group as well. I've been using I've suggested Mote Oo. It's a language, it's a learning management system where, you know, teachers can just share materials online. It doesn't have to be via email. It can be via the learning management system as well. So I can suggest that in the email. And maybe that's even an idea for online teaching. There you go.
Yeah. Cool. Well, it was really nice to see everyone. Thanks to everyone that came. And we're going to be doing quite a few more webinars over the next few weeks. So keep an eye out for more invitations.
All right.
Thank you so much, Zoe. It's really, really great.
Sure thing. All right.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good day, everyone.
You too. Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.